Hi, it's Steve. Today we'd like to show you how to change the incandescent lamp assembly on your range. It's a really easy repair. Let me show you how we do it. Now before we begin this repair, the first thing we'll need to do is to disconnect power to the range. So either pull it far enough forward that you can unplug it, or locate your electrical panel, turn off the appropriate breaker, or remove the appropriate fuses. Once we've done that, we can start the repair. Now that we have the power disconnected, we'll also need to get to the back of the range to remove the back panel. So pull it away from your cabinets. So we'll begin by removing the one on the bottom. They're typically a 1/4-inch hex head screw. Then we'll remove the ones along the sides. Now before we remove the last screw across the top, we'll also need to remove the screw that connects the ground wire. And take note that it has a different type of thread on it. Just push that through the slotted opening, and then remove the last screw and tilt the panel forward. So be sure to support that back panel as you remove the last screw. Then we'll pull it away at the top, and use caution when handling that back panel because the edges tend to be quite sharp. We'll just tilt it down enough that we can disengage these tabs that are located across the bottom of it, and they fit into some corresponding slots on the inner back panel. So we'll just set that aside. Next, we'll remove the 2 wires that go to that light socket. If they're on there really snug, you may need to use some needle nose pliers or a flat blade screwdriver to pry them off. And just tuck those out of the way for now. And then we'll go to the front of the stove, open up the door, and we can remove that socket assembly from the inner liner. So next we'll open up the oven door. Now if need be, you can remove the rack. Just pull it out and set it aside. So next, we simply need to remove those 2 1/4-inch hex head screws. Then we'll pull that whole assembly out away from the back wall. And we're simply going to grasp that whole assembly and carefully pull it through the back wall. We can discard the old one. Now, when installing the new socket assembly, when we go to put it in, we'll want to make sure that we keep the larger of the 2 terminals more towards the top, but also we'll want to make sure before we insert it that the bulb is tight in the socket. When replacing the lens, make sure that the tabs engage these 2 folded over edges and only come up to the little metal stops and not ride up on top of them, which will jam that lens in place. So it should just come up far enough to hit it. Now we'll push that assembly through the back wall and get it lined up. And then we'll go to the back of the range, we'll reconnect the wires and reattach the back panel. Just make sure that the wires fit onto those terminals nice and tight. If they appear to be a bit loose, we'll take our needle nose pliers and then just give them a gentle crimp. And now we're ready to line up the back panel and reinstall that. Now when installing that back panel, we need to make sure that these tabs on the bottom of the panel fit into the corresponding slots on the inner panel. So this area needs to tuck in underneath the bracket for the supply cord. Now, once all 3 of those tabs are engaged, we'll just tilt the panel to an almost upright position. Then we'll fit that ground wire to See that slotted opening? And now we'll push the panel into place and attach it with a single screw at the top. Be sure to attach the ground wire and use the appropriate screw for that. Then we'll install the single screw at the very bottom. And then just continue to put the ones on the side. Now, once we've tightened all the screws on that back panel, we're ready to line the range up and push it back into the cabinets. So next we'll replace the rack if you've removed it. And then we can close up the oven door and your repair is complete.